The world of motorsport stands at a point of no return, a historical junction where the old school meets futuristic high-tech in a decisive battle for survival. While Formula One celebrates its greatest technological leap in decades, introducing radical changes to aerodynamics and power units, DTM, once the proud Formula One with a roof, fights for its right to exist in the massive shadow of its open-wheel rival. This is not just a series of races. It is a full-scale war between two entirely different ideologies. On the line is not just the Constructors' Cup, but the attention of millions of fans worldwide. It is global, sterile, futuristic high-tech versus classic, gritty, fleshy motorsport, where the scent of fuel and the scream of raw metal still reign supreme. What is the true future of speed? Can hybrid sterility defeat pure, wheel-to-wheel combat on the edge of a foul? Today, we dive deep into why the battle between DTM and F1 in 2026 is not merely a comparison of technical specifications, but a fight for the soul of every fan who ever fell in love with racing. Historically, DTM and Formula One were always two sides of the same coin, complementing each other in the pantheon of great competitions. Formula One was always the pinnacle of engineering thought, the summit of evolution where cars were built not in garages, but in space-age laboratories behind locked doors. At the same time, DTM, especially during its golden era in the 90s, was the peak of what we call touring cars. These were machines that outwardly resembled your road-going Mercedes-Benz, BMW, or Alfa Romeo sedans. But beneath the carbon fiber skin, they hid the fury of true prototypes, capable of matching the speeds of junior Formula cars. It was the era of win on Sunday, sell on Monday, where a victory on the track translated directly into sales on the showroom floor. But in 2026, this balance of power has shifted permanently. Audi, one of the pillars of German motorsport, has officially entered Formula One, acquiring the Sauber team and developing its own engine. This decision served as a symbolic funeral for factory support in the German championship. The world's strongest brands, Ferrari, Mercedes, and now Audi and Ford, choose the global marketing of Formula One, where audience reach is measured in billions, leaving DTM to rely on privateer teams and GT3 customer programs. This is a rift that has changed the landscape of European motorsport forever. Look at Formula One today in 2026. It is no longer just a race. It is a battle of energy strategies and intelligent control systems. The new technical regulations have made the electrical component of the engine equal to the power of the internal combustion engine. Now, nearly 500 horsepower is generated by batteries and the MGUK system, turning the car into an incredibly complex mobile gadget. For an F1 pilot, every corner is now not just a search for the ideal line, but a mathematical calculation of energy recovery. Add to this active aerodynamics, the so-called X mode and Z mode, where front and rear wings change their angle of attack during flight to reduce drag on the straights and increase downforce in the corners. This is true space on wheels, where software becomes more vital than the skill of a mechanic. Formula One strives for absolute efficiency, where every molecule of fuel and every watt of energy works toward the result. It is the triumph of the digital over the physical, where the pilot becomes an operator of an ultra-complex system. And what of DTM during the same time? Here, we see a completely different, much more grounded and understandable picture. After the forced transition to the GT3 platform a few years ago, DTM became the last bastion of honest iron. Here, you won't find complex hybrid recuperation that requires an army of programmers to set up a single lap. In DTM, there's still an engine, a gearbox, and a driver fighting the machine rather than an algorithm. Here, balance of performance, BOP, reigns supreme. A system that attempts to equalize the chances of vastly different designs, from mid-engine Ferraris to rear-engine Porsches and front-engine BMWs. It is a battle of the car's individual characters. If Formula One's future is sustainability, complexity, and ecological flawlessness, DTM's future is spectacle, clarity, and accessibility. A spectator in DTM sees a car they can identify with their own. They see its flaws and its virtues. They feel its weight in every long, sweeping curve. This is motorsport you can touch with your hands. The confrontation between F1 and DTM is also a clash between a global show and pure sport. Formula One in 2026 has finalized its transformation into the planet's largest entertainment platform, where the glamour of Las Vegas and Miami carries as much weight as the results of the Monaco Grand Prix. It is a sterile show where everything is calculated to the smallest detail, and the price of a mistake is measured in tens of millions of dollars. In F1, any contact between cars, any touching of wheels, is a catastrophe that almost certainly means the end of the race for both participants and a shower of carbon fiber shards on the track. Pilots are forced to be cautious. They play chess at 300 kilometers per hour. But in DTM, entirely different rules apply. Here, the phrase, "rubbing is racing," is the motto of every heat. GT3 cars, with their durable bodies and developed aerodynamics, allow pilots to push, lean on their opponents in corners, bounce off curbs, and continue a fierce fight to the very finish line. This is what we, the fans, are so afraid of losing in Formula One. The physical sensation of a struggle where pilots aren't afraid to scratch the paint. DTM gives the viewer a sense of danger, density, and physical presence that no simulator, however modern, can replicate. It is the chaos of the first corner versus the perfect, mistake-free trajectory. A vital aspect of this battle is the question of relevance and the green agenda dictating terms to the world. Formula One in 2026 has placed a massive bet on fully synthetic e-fuel. This is their way of proving to the world that the internal combustion engine can be clean and has a right to exist in the age of electric vehicles. If this experiment succeeds, F1 will effectively save classic motorsport for future generations. DTM, meanwhile, finds itself in a much more difficult, almost dangerous zone. Having lost its status as a factory championship where German giants dictated the rules, the series is forced to constantly find new ways to attract sponsors and viewers. Experiments with the DTM Electric Series, featuring prototypes supposed to reach incredible speeds on electric power, have yet to find a sincere response in the hearts of fans used to the roar of V8 engines. Yet, herein lies the great paradox. DTM is much closer to us, the ordinary people. You could go to a showroom and buy a Porsche 911, an Audi R8, or a BMW M4 that looks almost identical to the monsters fighting on the tracks of Oschersleben or the Nürburgring. Formula One is an unreachable dream, a technological Olympus that an ordinary person cannot touch. It is an arms race where a single team's budget can exceed the annual budget of a small European nation. The genetic split between these series in 2026 has become maximally evident. While F1 increasingly resembles esports in real life, where the pilot is surrounded by hundreds of sensors transmitting data in real time to thousands of engineers back at bases in England or Italy, DTM remains a sanctuary for those who value the craft of driving in its primordial form. In 2026's Formula One, a pilot must be an athlete, a scientist, and a strategist simultaneously. They must manage brake bias, battery charge, and active wing positions in every specific segment of the track. In DTM, a pilot must be a warrior. They must feel the grip limit of the Pirelli tires as it changes with every lap. They must know where they can nudge an opponent to clear a path and how to defend a position when their brakes are already smoking from overheating. These are two different types of talent, two different philosophies of success. Who will win this battle for the future? In reality, this war will not end with the victory of one championship over the other. They will simply diverge permanently to opposite poles of human interest. Formula One is destined to be the global peak, the technological window of humanity where speed outpaces our understanding of physics. It is like a Patek Philippe watch, incredibly complex, expensive, prestigious, but somewhat cold in its perfection. It demonstrates what the human mind is capable of when limited by nothing but the laws of nature. It is the pinnacle of engineering that inspires us to dream of the future. At the same time, DTM remains our good, old mechanical watch. It might not be as precise. It might lag by a second or require manual winding, but you feel the movement of every gear. You see the tension of the spring. The future of motorsport is not a choice between one or the other, but a balance between technological wonder and human passion. Formula One gives us the future of engineering, showing the path humanity will take in the search for efficiency. DTM gives us the future of emotion, preserving the reason we started racing each other in self-propelled carriages over 100 years ago, the pure thrill of the fight. The battle between DTM and F1 in 2026 is a reflection of our own internal conflict. We want to live in the clean, technological, and safe world of the future, but we simultaneously long for the times when everything was simpler, rougher, and more honest. And while we argue until we are hoarse about which is better, a perfectly calculated overtake using DRS and energy recovery in Monaco, or a gritty contact maneuver on the final lap of the Lausitzring, we are actually winning. We win because we still have this choice. A choice between the cold mind of innovation and the hot heart of tradition. 2026 motorsport is not about who crosses the finish line first. It is about how they do it. Whether it's the silent flight of a futuristic prototype or the triumphant roar of an internal combustion engine tearing through the carbon body of a production-based car. The battle continues. And in this fight, there are no losers as long as there are people in the stands and behind the screens whose hearts beat faster when the green lights of the starting gantry flicker to life. This is the battle for the fan's soul, and it is only just beginning.